Hello, everybody. This is Tracy K. I am the Joyful Voyager. I'm coming to you today because I want to talk about something that is of great concern for a great many of you, and I've been getting so many questions about it. It's travel insurance. Okay, so I wanted to give you a primer on it because with the evolving COVID-19 situation, travel insurance companies have, their policies have evolved with what's unfolding with the virus. So I wanted to give you a brief primer on it to just tell you what travel insurance, just to break it down and make it as easy as possible. So there's as a general rule, there's two major kinds of travel insurance. There's one that's like just the basic worldwide protection, what they call worldwide protection. It'll protect against things like travel delay, lost luggage, trip interruption if your trip gets interrupted. And also there will generally be some kind of medical component with it. So if you were to get injured while you're on your trip, you can get medical attention without paying a bundle. Now, let me make a point about that. A lot of people don't always know this, but your private, U.S. medical private insurance will not cover you when you leave the country. Now, there are some exceptions to that rule. There are some jobs where people have insurance to cover them and their loved ones if they go out of the country. But as a general rule, most of us Americans, our medical insurance does not cover us when we leave the US of A. So what could that mean for you? I'll give you an example. We have a family friend and they travel, he and his wife travel all the time. Well, they were. But anyway, they went to South Africa. They go all over the world. He suffered a freak accident. They were just walking along and he fell and he sustained a serious head injury. Now, picture it. You're in a foreign country. Where do you go? Who do you call? This is where having that travel insurance is valuable, because a travel insurance provider with one toll-free number, worldwide toll-free number, you call up, they'll tell you where to go. They will, they'll help you with the hospital and all of that, because if you go and he has travel insurance, thank God he had it, because can you imagine? And you're talking about dollars. So say he had suffered this injury and didn't have travel insurance, guess what? It would have been out of pocket. And a lot of hospitals and medical facilities around the world will not release you until you pay them. So it's good to have a reputable insurance company to tell them, hey, you're going to get paid. So it doesn't come out of your pocket. I'm talking about 5 figures and up for stuff like that. You'd be surprised how it adds up. Now, I just wanted to bring that up. The other major kind is called CFAR, cancel for any reason. Now, that has become very popular lately, because the difference between that and the other one that I mentioned is that you generally can cancel for any reason that's not a covered reason listed in the policy. I changed my mind, I'm having a bad hair day. Now, let me just add the disclaimer. Your cancel for any reason is at the discretion. It's always the insurance company who's the final arbiter of what they will cover. But it gives you more latitude. Whereas with cover for any reason, cancel for any reason, you will not get 100% back for the travel cost, because you have that cover, cancel for any reason. So they'll typically do somewhere in the neighborhood 75 to 80% of your non-refundable travel costs. So what is non-refundable travel cost? That is stuff like you were on a cruise, you're going on a cruise, a certain part of your fare was refundable during the time that you chose to cancel, and a certain part of things that you paid, deposits, what have you, were not. That's what they're referring to. So cancel for any reason will refund up to 80% of that. The big benefit with that, you might think, well, 100% is better. It is, which the other one typically offers. Remember, there's just the basic travel insurance and there's cancel for any reason. The basic travel insurance will generally cover 100% of your non-refundable travel cost. but you don't get to cancel for any reason. There's definite, reasons to cancel. But going forward, because the travel landscape has changed, when we do begin to travel again, it might be good to consider a cancel for any reason, because, who saw this? I mean, it was just something that came out of left field. Now, one thing I do want to let you know, if you are contemplating a trip at any point in the future, say this year, later in the year, what have you, if you're going to buy travel, here's what I recommend that you do, and I tell my clients this. All we can do as travel agents is to give you the brochure from the company. Here's the main travel insurance. Here's the cancel for any reason. You look at the policy, and we can tell you what each one covers as far as what's stated in the brochure for the coverage. But what we cannot do, and what would be irresponsible for us to do, is to tell you, oh, sure, they'll cover that reason, no problem. So what I recommend is, before I write the insurance, if there's any questions, I give you the toll-free number of the provider that I use personally and also for my clients, and have you call them up and ask any questions you may have, so that you feel comfortable, like, okay, I'm going to go with the cancel for any reason, because they're the ones that can answer what they'll cover and what they won't. Now, I do want to let you know a couple of other things before I end this broadcast. So, and this comes up a lot. And so I wanted to mention this. You may, yourself or somebody you're traveling with, may have a pre-existing medical condition. Now, it's very important to understand something. Travel insurance, depending on which company you go with, they have certain rules around that. So many of them will offer a waiver, because generally, insurance policies, we don't cover anything pre-existing. Travel insurance will cover somebody with a pre-existing medical condition. That is, if you're traveling and you have heart issues and you have a heart problem while you're traveling, they will cover it under certain conditions, but it's generally tied to when you purchased the insurance relative to when you made the deposit for the trip and when the final due date's due, and they're all over the map. Some of them say, if you want us to cover a pre-existing condition, you need to do this within 14 days of having made the deposit, or it has to be done by the before the final payment date. It's all over the map. That is important to know. I had a client who, they didn't purchase the travel through me, or they would have known this, but I did what I could to help them. She called me up and said, hey, we're going on this cruise, and this was last year. But she said, my partner has COPD, and is it going to be covered? And I found out that they had paid for this cruise. They went through some website or a call center or something. They paid for their cruise. And I said, well, you can still buy travel insurance, but under the conditions, you've already paid for the cruise, final payment date is done, you're not eligible to be covered for that. So if he has a medical situation not related to his current condition, he's fine. But pre-existing condition, they will not cover it if he has an issue with the COPD. So I just wanted to mention that is really important to do. And one last thing, not all travel insurance is created equal. How many times have you bought a plane ticket or bought whatever it was, and the website popped up and said, oh, for initial $50, here's your travel insurance, and you go click and keep stepping. Watch out, because they're not all created equal. And generally, what you want to make sure that you have before you click that, check the medical coverages. That's the most important part. So they'll have medical emergency coverage, and the cheaper policies tend to have very low amounts. You might think, oh, $10,000 is a lot of money. Not necessarily. I'll tell you why. There's a statistic, I can't talk today, out there about, I was shocked to find this out. Did you know that 60% of medical evacuations happen out of the Caribbean, for international travel? Yow. So a medical evacuation could mean a helicopter having to come get you, depending on what kind of a trip you're at. Any type of transport. It's not like here in America, where we call the ambulance, they take you to the hospital, that cost. But what I'm talking about there, medical evacuation to the nearest medical facility to treat your condition, it could go sky high into the mid to high five figures fast. So $10,000 is not so great. The other thing, any of those medical coverages needs to be, I would say, at least $50,000 for that. And then there's the, I hate to talk about this part, but you want to look for repatriation coverage of at least $1 million. That without being sad, if somebody does need to be transported home, because they died overseas, that's important too. You need to know that you have that coverage. I don't mean to mention anything sad, but I just like to know, I want people to have the information. So if you have any questions about your particular situation, I'll be happy to answer the best that I can for you. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day. This was my inaugural recording, so let me know what you think. Thank you so much.